5 Kerry 321, and oh my goodness me, what a game of football. What a game. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That was one of the best games I have seen in Gaelic football in God knows how long, to be honest with you. It certainly beats any of the championship games from last year. That was absolutely breathtaking stuff. Fair play to both teams. Credit to Cork who made this a massive, like, they gave this a right good go, and they were so unlucky in the end to not come through it. And look, fair play to Kerry. I don't think Kerry were at their best today. I don't think they were at their 100% of their levels. They look like they probably still had another percent to kind of go up on in terms of their performance. But at the same time, you have to commend Kerry, because every time they go and got tough, they found a way to answer. They responded to Cork when they were under massive pressure, when they were down to 14 men. And that goal from Joe O'Connor, I mean, oh my goodness me. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe it when it actually went in. I was nearly like, how, like, and I didn't know what he said in his interview. I think he might have said that he didn't mean it. I'm not too sure. Maybe the commenters can let me know. But to go for goal there was just absolutely insane. I mean, because if the keeper had saved that, Cork win the game. Do you know what I mean? Cork would have won the game, in my opinion. But that goal just completely flipped the script entirely. It meant then that Cork needed 2 points rather than 1. An absolutely incredible drama. I mean, I'm not too sure where you even start with that game. I think firstly you have to commend both sides for making this a cracker. And the crazy thing is, like, after about 10-15 minutes, you were thinking that this was going to be a little bit one-sided. I mean, Cork were 11 points to 4 up, I think. Maybe after about 15 minutes, Kerry were very, very good in the early stages. Some brilliant points from David Clifford, Paul Gainey, Paddy Clifford obviously doing his bit as well. And it was comfortable, I thought, for Kerry. And Cork just hadn't really settled into the game. But these new rules, look, I think if you're anyone who was very much praising the new rules coming in, and you were thankful of the new rules, and even for any of the people who were part of the committee who brought in the new rules, you would have been absolutely delighted watching that game, because the new rules were the reason why this game was as good as it was, in my opinion. Like, Cork were phenomenal with 2-pointers, whether it was Brian O'Driscoll. I mean, he scored some phenomenal 2-pointers. Cathal O'Mahony got 1 or 2 as well. Like, some incredible moments from Cork in terms of 2-pointers in order to make the game a little bit closer. Gaelic Guy says here, how on earth was that red card? Yeah, that was absolutely shocking, and don't worry, we're absolutely going to get onto that. I couldn't believe that, and obviously we're fairing about the Cork red card from Sean Brady, I think it was, because the Paddy Clifford one definitely, in my opinion, was one of I don't think there's any debate in relation to that. But yeah, like, it was like Kerry were on the ropes a bit all of a sudden when Cork, when Cork were able to sort of drag the game back. And yeah, you were thinking, at half time, you always felt like Kerry were in control. It always felt like Kerry were in control of the game, even though Cork would kind of drag the game back down. It always felt like Cork had to work harder for their scores, whereas for Kerry, it was just a little bit more simple and a little bit easy. It felt like when they upped the ante and they upped the percentage levels, they were able to drag the game back down. But it felt like Paul Gainey's goal on the 60th minute, when that goes in, I think Kerry are about 6-7 points up at that stage. And you're thinking, right, that's it. That's it, done and dusted. There's no way Kerry, a team of their experience and everything else, are going to come back into this game. And it just felt like Cork were probably losing composure a little bit. But then came the Paddy Clifford red card, and that was a huge turning point in the game, because it just gave Cork that bit of energy, that bit of belief within the crowd. I thought the crowd today were brilliant as well, in terms of cheering Cork on. And, the Cork fans, the energy they made when that goal went in as well, the Cork goal. I mean, that was absolutely incredible stuff from Chris Oak-Jones. But look, in terms of Paddy Clifford's red card, I don't think it can be debated, in my opinion. Like, he's both arms around his neck. I know they were kind of saying a yellow. I think that's a red, in my opinion, with the force he goes in at as well. I wasn't too surprised about that. But yeah, Chris Oak-Jones obviously gets himself the goal. You're thinking, right, Cork are, with the momentum and everything else, they're going to win the game from here. But again, as I was saying, Kerry, to be fair, responded. Sean O'Shea got a goal at a time as well when a goal probably wasn't even needed. And then Cork obviously get the 2 points at the end from Mark Cronin and Owen McSweeney. And even after that as well, like with the hooter going, the ball breaks and Cork have the ball, but then they lose it. It's touched on the ground. David Clifford runs away and puts the ball over the bar. And then, like don't get me wrong, as a Dublin man, I wanted Cork to win. Of course I did. Obviously there's a rivalry. Look, Kerry fans will be cheering for me to beat us in a couple of weeks. So it's, there's absolutely no doubt I was cheering for Cork to win this game. But I thought Kerry were robbed in that instance, to be honest with you. And look, Cork were robbed themselves as well. So I don't know if you can say the two cancelled each other out. But why the ref doesn't play advantage there, I thought was criminal, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't understand why he drags it back. I thought that was crazy. Look, I'm happy it happened because we got extra time. We got a bit more drama. And I thought it would have been such a shame for Cork to have lost the game in that moment. But yeah, I did think that was a little bit crazy, in fairness. A bit of a mad decision. But look, Kerry missed the chance. It goes to extra time. Cork have a couple of chances at the start of extra time. They have 2 or 3 opportunities that they put wide. And you're thinking, it just felt to me that Cork maybe weren't used to this type of scenario. Like with Kerry, when they were under pressure, when they needed to score, they scored. You know what I mean? When they needed to step up, they delivered. Whereas with Cork, when they needed to score, they needed a few chances. You know what I mean? And whether that was maybe the pressure of the moment, maybe it was the quality difference. It was kind of hard to know. But look, then comes the red card from was it Sean Brady, Alex Brady? Let me double check that for it. Sean Brady. I mean, that was scandalous, absolutely scandalous. I mean, it's a yellow card at best. It probably is a yellow card. It's not a red card. I mean, that was a really, really poor decision and such a shame for Cork because look, they had the advantage, and they would have had the advantage for a further 16 minutes. Had that red card, provided there was going to be no other red cards along the way, they would have had the advantage. And it was just really, really poor decision there, in my opinion, from the referee, who, like, at times as well, I thought made some like funny decisions. He gave a couple of fouls in favor of Kerry when I didn't think they were, and same applied to Cork as well. I think the ref made poor decisions. And even the linesman as well, made poor decisions in both directions. But you just felt like after that red card that the momentum had been sucked out of Cork. You could feel it in the crowd, and you just felt like Kerry were going to kick on after that. And to be fair, they did. Like Killian Spillane gets a big point, and they're kind of kicking on from there. David Clifford obviously gets a brilliant 2-pointer as well. I mean, that was absolutely incredible stuff from a David Clifford perspective. Brilliant point from him. And you're thinking Kerry are going to manage the game now. They're going to slow it down and everything else. But it didn't happen. Like Cork again just kept on finding a response, kept on finding an answer. Chris Oak-Jones gets a point. There's then a two-pointer from Owen McSweeney. Well, actually, this was after obviously the Joe O'Connor goal. I mean, so much happened in this game. Trying to speak about it in chronological order is very, very difficult. But the Joe O'Connor goal was obviously an absolute killer from a Cork perspective. I mean, like it came at a time as well, and again, Kerry didn't need the goal. You know what I mean. They were a point down. They needed a point. A 2-pointer would have obviously put them in front. But that was phenomenal from Joe O'Connor. I mean, an incredible goal from him. Brilliant finish. And yeah, you're looking at it there from a Cork perspective, like how can they respond after that? It felt like the goal sucked the life out of the crowd again. There was so many momentum killers really from Kerry, and maybe that was a bit of a target with the goals. But you're thinking, how can they respond now? How can they turn this around? And to be fair to them, I think they get a point after that, but a couple of 2-pointer opportunities. Cathal O'Mahony puts one wide from a free. He misses another one after that as well. And it was just, was it the pressure of how big of a moment it was for Cork in terms of the way the game had gone? Will you always get an opportunity to beat Kerry like that? Probably not. But one thing I would say is that more often than not, these games are becoming very competitive. And I think this is maybe now the norm in this rivalry. Like last year, It was a very, very close game, and Kerry pulled away towards the end. You had the game in 2020, which Cork won. There's been a few other games in there as well where Cork have been very, very competitive. So maybe it's the norm. And look, I think it would be brilliant for football. It'd be brilliant for Munster football. I think a lot of us would agree that Munster, alongside Leinster, is, it's not exciting. And I think a lot of people would have tuned into this game probably expecting Kerry to win relatively comfortably and hoping that Cork can make an occasion out of it. But in fairness to Cork, like they were absolutely brilliant. And you feel sorry for them not getting over the line, like Cathal O'Mahony falling to the ground as well. Like that was, it was tough to take, I'm sure, for Cork fans and everything else. But at the same time, I think for Cork, like they have a lot of these games where they play so well against Kerry. They beat Donegal last year, Mayo the year before in the group stages. It wasn't too long ago they beat Kerry, even in the championship in Munster. So like Cork have this habit of raising their game against bigger teams. And I just think for Cork in general, I think they're more than good enough to get up to Division 1, in my opinion. They have the talent to do so. It'll obviously be difficult for them to do it next year with Tyrone and Derry coming down. But Cork absolutely have the ability to do so. And I think it'll be huge for Cork to get up to Division 1. James says here, good for Cork. Terrible red card decision, should have been on RTE. Yeah, there would have been so many people who probably didn't get to see that game. And what a shame it was, because it was it was a cracker of a game. It was absolutely breathtaking stuff, really, from both teams. Kerry weren't at full tilt. There's no getting away from that, but in saying that, they stood up when they needed and they got the win. And look, that's the most important thing. In fairness, I don't think Kerry will have better performances. They will improve. They will take positives from today as well. Like David Clifford was brilliant. Sean O'Shea came off the bench, to be fair, and had was impressive. And obviously having him back in the team will be huge. So there are levels to improve on from a Kerry perspective. It felt like maybe it was like physically they lost a lot of kickouts. Cork's handling at times was a little bit poor, and maybe Cork should have punished Kerry a little bit more. Maybe there could be question marks around Kerry's defense at times as well. In terms of that, and but yeah, like what a game, man! Absolutely incredible stuff. Precise comment says shocking red card. Yeah, it was. It was as we were mentioning earlier, it was criminal decision. Really, really poor decision from the referee there. Look, apparently nearly feels like Kerry might have found a way to win this game anyway if they would have had 15 men on the field, or, if Cork had 15 men on the field, because Kerry they just kept finding an answer. But look, Cork probably would have won, and they should have won, based off of that. So yeah, Cork fans can be really, really aggrieved with that decision. Really, really poor stuff from everyone involved there. And yeah, it was a shame as well, because you were watching it and thinking it's just, it just ruined the game a little bit, and ruined the extra time. But look, these things happen, in fairness, and you could argue as well Kerry maybe should have had advantage, at the end of normal time. But yeah, look, Kerry get the victory, they get the win, they progress on into the Munster final. Cork will go into the group stages. For Cork, they can take positivity, no doubt about that. From some of their performances, or from some of their players in particular today. Chris O'Jones was brilliant. Brian O'Driscoll was outstanding as well. 5 points, couple of 2-pointers in there. And the mad thing is, Brian Hurley definitely didn't have his best game today as well. He finished with 3 points. One of them, I think, was a 2-pointer. But he was taken off with about kind of 10 minutes to go. So not his best performance. And maybe if you get him back to his best, that could be a positive for Cork. But yeah, incredible game. In terms of man of the match, they gave it to Joe O'Connor. I would have looked towards David Clifford, who I thought was incredible. 9 points, an unbelievable performance, and that 2-pointer as well. That was just incredible. That 2-pointer he scored, because it looked like he was off balance as he hit it. And yeah, that was an incredible point in fairness. And look, Joe O'Connor with 1-1 was very good. Paddy Clifford was very good until his red card. But yeah, I don't think there can be any debating that. Porrick says here, new rules seem to be helping the provincials. Yeah, absolutely. Like I only watched about the last 20 minutes of Mayo Leitrim, but the fact that that was only a 7-point game as well, seems to, was surprising as well. And this game was very, very close. Down for Mana looked like a cracking game, although, I didn't see any of that, but that looked like a cracking game. You had some of the games last week as well. So it's probably a combination of things. It's the new rules that are definitely helping. I think the fact that you have the league ending and the group stage is so close to the provincials, it probably does mean that the bigger teams are not, they're not as well rested going into these provincials, and they don't have to go full tilt, or they're not able to go full tilt because they're, saving legs and everything else. So it's probably all them factors combined has probably made it a little bit more competitive and thrilling. And, I would like to see the championship more spaced out, but maybe this is a benefit of it, in fairness. James says down for Mana was surprisingly good in the second half. Like I heard down with an incredible comeback there. So fair play to them. But yeah, look, we'll wrap it up here. An incredible drama, incredible game. What a match of Gaelic football. Hopefully this is, because a lot of the games haven't really, so far, to be fair, a lot of them have been predictable. But hopefully now with games where teams are a little bit more competitive, and we can get cracking games. And to think this wasn't even meant to be the biggest game of the weekend. You had Monaghan, Donegal, Galway, Roscommon still to come as well, and some cracking hurling games tomorrow. So exciting stuff indeed. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Let me know who you think was man of the match, the decisions as well. Fair play to Kerry. They escape, they survive, and Cork, as I said earlier, can feel very hard done by with the red card. I think they will look back at themselves as well in terms of the chances that they missed, because they absolutely, in my opinion, should have won this game. They had the opportunities to do it, but just weren't clinical enough when it mattered. So yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll speak to you all later.